rather fitting for where David's at, because essentially this says if you want to trust somebody, if you want to have confidence in someone, have confidence in God. Trust in God. And David's situation, I think, highlights that pretty well as he's in the midst of being betrayed. So let's read our Psalm 54. That's kind of where we're at. That's the setup for where David is. Psalm 54. O God, save me by your name, and vindicate me by your might. Give ear to the words of my mouth, for strangers have risen up against me. Ruthless men seek my life. They do not set God before themselves. Behold, God is my helper. The Lord is the upholder of my life. He will return evil to my enemies. In your faithfulness, put an end to them. With a freewill offering, I will sacrifice to you. I will give thanks to your name, O Lord, for it is good. For he has delivered me from every trouble, and my eye has looked in triumph on my enemies. Do you have a favorite story in the Bible? Old Testament, New Testament, it doesn't matter. Could be a Sunday school story, however you want to define it. Anyone have a favorite story you've loved your whole life, or hey, maybe it's something you've just come to love throughout your life? Go ahead, shout it out. What do you got? Prodigal Son. Here you go, Prodigal Son. Okay, sure. That's a great. Characters, people, persons, whatever. What do you got? What's your favorites? Jonah. Oh, Jonah, there's a lesson for you, right? Yeah, Jonah's great. That's it? Yes, of course. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that's one of my favorites. I really love them. They're told that they've got to bow down to this idol, right? Or they're going in the furnace. This fiery furnace here, and they've got these guys saying, we're not bowing down to that. No way. No way. Our God is going to be with us. Our God is going to save us. Sorry. Our God is with us. So it says they went in. So they got thrown into the fiery furnace. Nothing happens, right? And they kind of see this fourth person in the fire there, and they get pulled out. They don't even smell like smoke. Wow. Amazing. What else you got? Esther, of course. Esther, how can we forget? Love Esther. Short but sweet, right? How about David and Goliath, right? Classic story. I'm pretty sure the whole world knows David and Goliath. All right? Gotta love that one. Beautiful Sunday school lesson. This little guy, he's got a little pea shooter in his on his sidearm here. Against, the biggest there is, Goliath. He's called it for a reason, and bam. David said, no, don't worry. I got him. Or rather, I don't have him, but my God has him. Right? Moses, let my people go. The plagues, parting the Red Sea for God's people to pass through on dry land. Joseph sold into slavery, but just kept believing, right? Never let go of that faith, of that confidence in God. About Elijah. Any Elijah fans? Right? Gotta love Elijah. Standing on Mount Carmel against 450 prophets of Baal, mocking them, telling them that, God's going to take you down. God is going to take you down. You can do whatever they want, jump around, it doesn't matter, right? Your God is not the real God. My God is the real God. Daniel in the lion's den, right? God shutting the mouths of the lions. Awesome. So with all these sort of fresh examples in our minds, let's look back at David. He's on the run from Saul. He fled to this place in the desert, only to be betrayed. What does he do? He puts his confidence in God. Let's read verse 1 and 2 again. What does David do, right? He just finds out, oh, man, we've been betrayed. Oh, my goodness, Saul found, he knows where we are. He's coming for us. Oh, God, save me by your name. Vindicate me by your might. O God, hear my prayer. Give ear to the words of my mouth. There's no other power for him to depend on, to have confidence in, than God's strength. He's got 600 men with him now at Zip. He's not relying on them. Okay, here, let's do this. No, he's relying on God. There are no tools that will help him. There's no friend to call up and get him a get out of jail free card. In verse 4, he makes it really clear where he seeks his help from. Behold, God is my helper. The Lord is the upholder of my life. Look at that confidence. Isn't that incredible? Now, it's maybe not as epic as parting the Red Sea, I'll grant you, or any of the other stories that we touched on. But you know what? It's no less incredible. Simply because of the choice that David made to put his full confidence in God. And it's the same confidence that David had against the Goliath, that same confidence that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego had in the fiery furnace. It's the same confidence Elijah had. It's the same confidence all of those characters had that we spoke about. So the question naturally is, where do we put our confidence today? Matt and Athena have been going through a bit of a trial lately. Got into a car accident. I feel like it's okay to mention that since Matt brought it up a couple weeks ago. Got into a car accident, right? Now they have car insurance. The other driver had car insurance. They pay for car insurance. Okay, this is something that pretty much everybody in Massachusetts does. It's the law. You drive on the road, you've got to have car insurance. Okay? We put money into this so that if something goes awry, something goes wrong, an accident happens, you're covered. They're there to help you. You've got help. How would you rate your confidence level right now in insurance companies? Would you say like 10, it's unbelievable, they've been with us every step of the way, or 1 being like, hey, you kind of want to throw them into the fiery furnace? 0. Okay, so we're going to pray that God would cast them into the fire. Got it. All right. 0. Right? This is a system that we literally put money into, and we have 0 confidence in it. This is our confidence that we pay for. We don't have anything in it. There's no confidence. There's no trust there. How much do you trust the doctor when you're going for surgery? Well, okay, I got yeah, that's scary. How much do you? 0, okay. Thank you, Jerry. 0, yes. Excellent. That's a scary thing. You're putting your life in the hands of the anesthesiologist, taking you but an inch from death, and then you've got to trust those doctors that knife doesn't slip. I'm just saying there's a lot. Do you trust the stock market? Do you trust the stock market? How about casinos? Do you trust casinos to take care of your finances for you? I hope not. That's a lesson you'll learn real quick. But this is that sort of classic Psalm of David where he's on the run, his life is at stake. And, I can stand here and say, all right, well, your life probably isn't at stake, but, because that's just not, no one's chasing us down trying to kill us, But I want to take a minute and I want to look at this from a slightly different lens. See, David was at a place in his life where he couldn't solve the problem. He could not solve the problem under his own power, but he knew where to turn. He knew where to put his confidence. He knew who could. So I ask you, what's the problem area in your life that you cannot solve? Where can you not bring peace? What areas in your life do you need to take David's approach and just fall down and bring it to God? Where is your heart at this morning? What is broken in your life that needs fixing? And maybe your heart is where the problem is. Do you have any relationships that you need to surrender to God because you just cannot fix them? Wherever you are this morning, have the confidence in our Father in heaven. Have the confidence in the Alpha and Omega. Have the confidence in our God to bring it to Him. Learn the lesson from David to bring it to God. Because He can work a miracle in your life. Because God can do the impossible. I put quotes in that because God has no limits. There is no such thing as impossible for God. He can do all things. And that means that there's no such thing as impossible in our lives. There is no such thing as impossible for us because we are children of God. Thank you, music team, whoever picked the music. Those songs, perfect. Excellent job, Matt. We are children of God. Can we get the next slide? Now, there's a picture of a lion if I've ever seen one. Meaning that this guy exudes confidence, doesn't he? You see that? That is confidence. That is strength. That you just see power. Right? Yeah. Now imagine if this were the lion's children. Can we get the next slide? There we go. That doesn't quite fit, right? Something's wrong with that picture. Because that thing looks a little skittish. That thing looks really pathetic, like it's maybe easily scared, very clueless. And you'd be right to question, how in the world could this stinking thing come from that lion? That doesn't make any sense at all. Look at this thing. It's hilarious. Should have picked a different picture. I'm going to lose it. Who is our Father in heaven? Who is our Father? He is the king of the jungle. Heck, He created the jungle. How out of place is it when we mirror this? When we in our lives don't have the confidence? When we in our lives are like pigeons and not lions? Whose children are we? Because this is what we look like when we don't put our confidence in God. Clueless, scared, out of place. We are children of the most powerful being in existence. The one who created all things. The judge of all. He literally holds the keys to life and death in His hands. And you know something? You are important to Him. You are valuable to God. He loves you. If He is for us, who could possibly stand against us? Can we get rid of the pigeons? Thank you. Goliath couldn't stand against God. The fiery furnace couldn't stand against God. Those prophets of Baal couldn't stand against God. Not an entire sea could stand against God. So in your life, where are you being a pigeon? Not having absolute confidence in our King. I can tell you for me, there are areas where I'm a lion and others where I am definitely a pigeon. Definitely. A pigeon being those areas, again, where I don't let go and I don't give it to Him. Where I hold on to it, where I carry it, where I don't set my burdens on our Father. Where I don't rely on my God. And that's kind of the funny thing about it, is that even though as much as we'd like to, we think we can, and we do, we can't carry our burdens. We cannot carry our own sins. We think we can. We think we can just bury them down. We think we can hide them away. But make no mistake that God is the only one who can take those burdens off of you. He is the only one who can carry them. And you know what else? He wants to. He wants to carry them. Jesus went to the cross to save us because He loves us. Let Him take your burdens. Let Him be your helper. And again, as it says in verse 4, let Him uphold your life. Do you know what the difference is between us, you individually, me, and David in this psalm, where he is? Do you know what the difference is between us, between you and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? You know what the difference is between us and Joseph? Pick any of these characters. Nothing. Nothing. In regards to what we're speaking about here, we can have the same confidence in the Father that they did. God is still at work, performing miracles every day. He's still changing lives every day. Making incredible stories happen in people's lives every day. This is the God that David is turning to. This is the same God. He is unchanged today. He is the same God as He was those thousands of years ago. The same changed, unchanged today. So do not underestimate the power of the Holy Spirit at work in your life to do absolutely awe-inspiring, biblical things. Have confidence in this. That horrible car accident that feels like it's still happening, that absurd insurance situation, you don't even know if you're going to find a replacement car, maybe. Like, how is that insurance situation possibly going to work out? That would be a miracle, wouldn't it? Maybe depression. It's been this way for so long. You feel like there's no way out. I bet you David felt like there was just no way out. He kept on running and running and running and running. Maybe you have a financial situation and you don't see an end in sight, and you've been crawling for so long. Or a health issue that has you scared. Or the road to recovery is daunting. A year? Oh, that would be daunting. Perhaps you're thinking of that relationship in your life and how broken and just how much of a mess it is. There's history there, and there's no way we're going to find peace in that. There's just no way. God is with us. God is with you in all things. And we can have amazing confidence in him, just like those who have gone before us. I say this with a pretty recent experience of my own, a place in my life where I was admittedly a pigeon, where I believed that he could restore a particular relationship in my life. In theory, yeah, sure he could. But I didn't believe that he would. I didn't believe it would happen. Or at least not like he did, that's for sure. I did not have epic, biblical confidence in my God in this area of my life. This was a relationship that had been hurting and broken for a long time, going on 10 years, long time. And Elizabeth and I have been praying, and we've been working on our part of it, and we've been putting so much attention into it, and we thought our hearts and our approach were in a good place, But God disagreed. About a week ago, God showed me that it was my heart that wasn't in the right place, that needed fixing. And in that moment, I called up the other parties, and we had a heart-to-heart conversation that I honestly never thought would happen. Definitely not like it did, I'll tell you that. That had been hurting and broken and just a mess for so long. And I did not believe that God would restore it. I thought he could. Sure, he can do anything. Yeah, that makes sense. In theory, he can do whatever he wants. I didn't believe that he would restore it. And it was these Psalms, it was studying these Psalms that got me to that place in prayer. It was studying and learning from David's approach. The confidence that he had in his Father to rescue him in his time of need. And you know what I love about the Psalms? Is you don't need to get all the details when you're praying to God. You don't need to have all the words. Sometimes there's just so much going on inside here, and there's so many emotions. There's so much stress and confusion, and the whole thing is balled up in here. And you know what the Psalms teach us? Is that we don't need to explain everything to God. You don't need the words. You can just fall on your face and cry out to God for help. Ask him to relieve those burdens, to heal those wounds, and to soften your heart, because maybe it's your heart that's the one that's broken. And you got to be ready for that reality too. It's funny, Elizabeth was out with the kids when I made that phone call, and she got home. She thought someone died because of how I was. It's hilarious, but that's actually what happened. And, I said to her after, I said, I think someone did die. I think I died to myself a little bit in there. And truly, this is where David's words connected with me from verse 4. Behold, God is my helper. The Lord is the upholder of my life. What a lesson I learned, and what it truly meant to rely on and put my confidence in God, rather than trying to keep solving the problem in the issue in my own life. A very different circumstance than what David was in. Very different. but both of us unable to rescue ourselves, and both turning to God for help. Having confidence in our God as we put our trust and faith in Him. So I'm going to ask you again, do you put your confidence in God to uphold your life? To rescue you from your place of need? To be your helper? We talked about some great stories in the Bible, all of which I think if they happened today, we'd say, well, that was impossible. I can just imagine the BBC helicopters and cameras trying to explain someone parting the Red Sea. Imagine that on the news, in the media. These were all people having great confidence in God. And let me tell you, the only way that you're going to see miracles happen in your own life is if you choose to have that same confidence in your Father. Who better to tell us this, that miracles can still happen all the time, than Jesus himself, and sort of what it takes for these things to happen. In Matthew 17, after he rebukes the demon and casts it out of the boy, the disciples come over and they ask Jesus, hey, how come we couldn't cast that out? How come we couldn't do that? And Jesus answered them. It's out of Matthew 17, verse 20. And he said to them, because of your little faith. For truly I say to you, if you have faith like a grain of mustard seed, which is infinitesimally small, you will say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. And nothing will be impossible for you. And I share my own personal experience, not because I think it's fun, but I share this definite miracle in my own life. I share this with you all so that we can all see that God is still working miracles even today. And for the sake of verse 6, where it said, with a free will offering I will sacrifice to you, and I will give thanks to your name, O Lord, for it is good. I share this so that we can all lift up praises and give glory to our reigning King together, so that we can share in one another's miracles, so that we can all glorify and be praising God together as we're going through life. I know I definitely read a lot of these stories, and I look at them with an exception in mind. Parting the Red Sea, man, that would be cool. Standing in a furnace while it's ablaze, that sounds frightening, but also really cool somehow. Pick your favorite one. Pick your favorite one. It's easy to sort of set them apart up here. Almost like they're unachievable today. Like those are different. Those are Bible stories. Those are different. Oh, those Old Testament Bible stories, those are even differenter. I know different is not a word. But let's be real clear on this, that God is working miracles every day on all sorts of scales in all of our lives. And we need to have confidence in Him that not only could He still do those things today, but that He will, and that He does. So, David's situation, no, it didn't need the Red Sea to be parted. But nevertheless, David knew what he needed. He needed God's help. So I'll ask you one final time. What about your situation? Where do you find yourself? What is it that you can't solve? What are you trying to carry? What has you scared? What seems impossible in your life? I'm going to read verse 4 one final time. Behold, God is my helper. The Lord is the upholder of my life. So are you relying on him as your helper? And is he the upholder of your life? I pray that this would be true for each of us. And as it says in verse 6, may we give thanks together, praising our King, giving glory to Christ, who makes all of this possible. Will you pray with me? Our King in heaven, we thank you that you even allow us to come before you. You are holy. You are perfect. You are the very definition of love, and we are the opposite. We need your help. We cannot hold our lives up ourselves. We need you to be the upholder of our lives. And I pray that each one of us here would depend on you, that we would rely on you, that we would have biblical, epic confidence in you, that we would turn to you in all aspects of our life, and that we would have faith in confidence that you love us, that you will take on our burdens, that you will uphold our lives, that you will help us through whatever it is that is in our way, that is on our path. I thank you for your love, and I thank you for Christ dying on the cross to make all of this possible. So we thank you for your love, and I pray that this congregation, that we would be knit together in love, that we would be building each other up, that we would be joining in each other's miracles to your praise and your glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Scott. We know that, as you said, God is not differenter. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever, and we can have faith in that. Just want to encourage folks as we get ready to go from this place, and we will have various points that you can go to if you'd like to pray. There will be a focus on prayer for our missionaries from the Mboto serving in Cameroon, and that will be occurring in the little conference room area off of the library. If you would like to discuss the service, that will be, and discuss the message this morning and the overall message of this morning. There'll be a group that'll be discussing in greater depth in the, no, they will not be meeting this week for the summer. All right, we have changed plans for the summer. We're officially in summer mode now. So if you'd like to go in a little deeper, there'll be coffee and conversation. So pull someone aside, have a conversation. Preparing yourselves for next week, we will be, our speaker will be speaking on Psalm 72 and 112. If you want to pre-read for next week and spend some time thinking about and meditating on the verses in Psalm 72 and 112, we believe that that might bear fruit for you. And I'd like to close with this benediction. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. From Romans 15:13. Go in peace, brothers and sisters.